And you follow the NHL.
I follow the NHL, and there's not one person that I can't think of better to talk to about the NHL than a former Stanley Cup champion coach. He used to be a former Flyer head coach. Now he's the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's go to the Toms River Volkswagen Sports Hotline and welcome into the locker room the Chief, Craig Berube. Good morning, Chief.
Hey, boys. How's it going?
Dude, we are out here on the Steel Pier in Atlantic City, and it's really foggy and windy. You can hear the wind blowing through our mics. But Chief, we're like 1,000 feet out on the overlooking the ocean, and it's we're getting blown all over the place, and it's foggy. But we're out here and looking forward. We're going to be watching the offshore boat racing series, Chief.
Nice.
You ever been on one of those power boats? Yeah, you ever been on one of those power boats?
No, I never have been on a power boat. I've been on a lot of boats, but not one of those. But I'm sure it'd be fun. You should maybe check it out, Schweiner.
Hey, Chief, I got to tell you, I was really, the Flyers haven't been doing much lately, and you and I are friends. I was really pulling for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So was my daughter, Eliza Grace. And we were talking to Tommy Green. The Phillies right now are in a funk, right? They've lost I think 8 games in a row, 8 out of their last 9 games. Yeah. And, so as a coach and as a Stanley Cup-winning coach, how do you, when things aren't going well? I know, and look, I've known you guys for a long time. You, Tommy Green, all say the same thing. You guys are professionals. Hey, Schweiner, when you're winning, don't get too cocky, don't get too emotional. When you're losing, don't get too low. Keep that even keel. But it's hard for me as a fan to do that. How do you do it as a coach?
Yeah, no, it's tough. I mean, you get on these losing streaks. I mean, and it starts to become a grind. Because you just can't get a win, and you're trying. And I mean, in baseball, though, I think it's a little bit different than hockey and other sports. Like baseball is such a long season that there is. Yeah. Times that you go through these slumps, like the Phillies just were on like a 10-game winner before this, right?
Yeah.
Or an 8-game or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of bounces around a little bit. You're always looking for consistency as a coach, and you're going to lose games. We all get that. I think you go through a year and you win games that you probably shouldn't win, and you lose games that you probably shouldn't lose. So it's all about the situation at the time, right? What's going on with your team? Maybe you're losing games because you're not fundamentally doing things properly. In hockey, it could be some different scenarios that come up. So I think, as the coach and the coaching staff, and this is where your assistants are really important too,
right,
is you got to recognize what is going on. Why are we piling up these losses? Maybe we deserve to win 4 out of the 6 losses. You never know really what's going on. You got to figure that out. And that's really important as a head coach. You got to recognize the situation of why you're losing and what we need to do better to fix it. And that might not happen right away, but if you stick with it, eventually you'll come out of it, So I just think, you got to understand the situation. Maybe the guys need a kick in the ass, Yeah, they're not working or competing hard enough,
Chief, in today's, especially today's NHL, but with professional athletes in the modern day, you got to watch how you handle. You can't just kick somebody, get up in somebody's face and blow up anymore. You got to pull them aside. You can't do it in front of anybody because you'll lose the guy.
Well, that's not true. I disagree with that. There's nothing wrong with getting after a player in front of everybody. That's accountability. And I'll tell you what, your team wants that, and your players want that. Yes, they want everybody to be treated the same. So if a star player makes a mistake or he's doing something he shouldn't be doing from a lack of laziness, this and that, there's nothing wrong with getting up on them in front of everybody, whether it's on a bench in a room. Yeah, it's important because if you don't do that, then you lose accountability, right? And accountability is everything. And it's also your players understanding that it's their job as leaders, they're leaders on your team, to hold everybody accountable to the standard that you hold yourself to. And that's the key right there. If you get that, you got something going. You got something going. It's important. Accountability is important. And as a coach, you got to hold everybody accountable, and it might be in front of people. You don't want to do it all the time, but there is times you got to do it.
We're talking with Craig Berube. He's a Stanley Cup-winning champion coach with the Blues. He is a former Flyer, and he's now the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Chief, how do you keep your like, you're behind the bench, right? And your star players make mistakes or they do something stupid. You got to, you know, you're on camera. You got to be cognizant of that, like not like making faces or getting all like upset because maybe the optics of that wouldn't look great. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, again, you got to be composed and you got to be in control. I talk about composure a lot with our team because the game of hockey it's so fast. So many things happen so quickly. It's important. You got to stay composed. And as a coach, that's a big part of it is staying composed. You have to teach and you got to coach. You got to do your thing. But I think, you know, the right demeanor about it all is very important, in my opinion. Yeah, there's times you're going to get, you know, you're going to let your players have it. It's probably better behind closed doors. Sometimes you do it on the bench, not that often. But composure is important. We all know that, and you got to have composure. But, you know, it's if you don't have composure, your team's not going to have composure.
Hey, Chief, it's Nick. I wanted to ask you and bring it back to the Flyers in this area a little bit. As an NHL head coach, seeing Matvei Michkov from afar, what have you noticed about his game that can make him so special?
Yeah, he's got great skill. And he, like you talk about composure, he's got composure with the puck. This guy's a good player. He's going to be a great player at some point as he grows in the NHL. I believe that. He can do it all. He can, you know, he's got the skill set to make plays. His head's up. You know, he can score goals. So he's going to be a real good player for the Flyers. There's no doubt about it in my mind. And he's competitive. You know, you want your best players to be the most competitive people on your team. That's how you win. You got to have the top players be the most competitive players in your team, and he's competitive. And that competitiveness will drive them, and, you know, they have a real good player there.
Hey, we're talking with Craig Berube. He won a Stanley Cup with the St. Louis Blues. He's now the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Chief, your good friend Rick Tocchet just got hired as the Flyers head coach. I know you talk the talk all the time. What do you see? What about Rick Tocchet do you think will make him successful in the Flyers?
Yeah, well, he's going to bring in a structure there, that's for sure. He's a very structured guy, and he's going to bring great structure to his team. And that's going to get you through everything, you know. Like when things aren't going well, you know, there's a lot of nights in the NHL where, you know, you don't have the energy. It's a travel and it's a busy schedule. But if you have good structure, you can win those games, you know. And that structure is important. He's going to have real good structure because he's a great teacher. You know, I think the players, all the players that play for him, they want to play for him because the way he goes about things and how he handles things. He holds his players accountable. He talks to them. They understand their roles, and he's, you know, that's how he does things. And players like that. They want to know what's going on. They want to know where they stand, and he's going to do that. And then he's going to bring that structure to the Flyers. And as they build their team and get more talent into that hockey team, you know, they're going to be a good team. He's going to do a real good job here. I'm very happy for him, and I think they made a great hire.
All right, Chief, when you coming down to the shore, we got to get together.
Well, I'll be in Cape May, and you'll be in Ocean City. I don't go to Ocean City anymore.
Hey, Chief, man, like I really appreciate you coming on the show, but you're making my ratings drop.
I can't believe that. Oh, my. Don't listen to him, Chief. Don't listen to him, Chief. I think they went through the roof when you came on.
Oh,
hey, Chief,
God.
Listen, man, I want to thank you on the radio because when I first started my radio career, you were one of the first guys that I had come on, and I can't tell you how much that did for me, and I'll never forget it, and I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on today, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll be talking to you soon.
Anytime, Billy. Thanks, boys. Take care.
Derry.
Have fun at the boat races today.
All right, thanks, Chief. There he is, Craig Berube on the Tom's River Volkswagen Sports Hotline.